interrupt the debate. And so housekeeping rules for the debaters. Remember, POIs are highly encouraged. Stand up, be respectful, don't haggle or don't hackle if you want to discuss. Make sure it's within reasonable volume, and if you want to reject the POI, simply put your hands down and that is a sign. And remember, be respectful, don't accidentally commit equity. And so with that, I invite the Prime Minister to start this debate. Woo, let's go.
Could you help me? Here.
This is better, easier.
Hello? Hello? Yeah, it's comfortable, yeah. Okay, fine. Okay. I'll be starting in the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1, go. Good afternoon. The motion today is, as a person who went through a mutual and amicable breakup with their partner, this house would block the X. And as PM, I support this motion. Through my speech, I will present definitions, our burden, explain the world we live in, a model, one argument, and close. Today, the status quo presents a clear problem. The world we live in is one where there is a consistent problem in getting together and breaking up with your ex. Panel, the world we live in is one where toxic relationships crush your positive emotions and engulf you in excessive sadness and a bad influence too. Our stance is that we want somebody to endure the pain but emerge a successful and effervescent person who moves on. Now, that is enough about us. Now, let us see what happens with an ex you stay with. It creates toxic moods and relationships impacting your mood and even decision making. Now, let me define this motion for all of us present here. The motion states we should block our ex, which basically means we should not contact our ex in any possible social media platform or communication, which affects the key stakeholders the key stakeholder who is the person who has been through a breakup, and their incentives are to have a normal social and emotional life with a great social circle and no consistent breakups annually. Our burden is clear. We will prove to you how contacting your ex is unnecessary and impacts ego heavily. An ex is a person who you left because of a certain reason, which could be an extensive amount of fights. Now, I will present one argument today on toxic relationships. We are going to prove that constantly contacting your ex is deteriorating your emotions and mood. The reason is, when you keep contacting your ex, you revoke feelings for each other again, which reminds you of the unpleasant memories you had and faced, which creates mental health deterioration, impacting not only your emotions. An example is, suppose you have an ex and you contact them, so you are reminded of all the memories that you had together, which creates confusion and a toxic relationship. The real world effects are mutual and amicable relations could turn into impertinent ones. And I will show you the short-term impact, which is constant change in emotions, which looks like creating confusion and anger, which also impacts how well you make friends with others. The long-term impact is deteriorating mental health, which looks like more confusion and trauma. Panel. In conclusion, do you want a world where we deteriorate the mental health of people who have gone through a breakup by creating a toxic relationship? With that, I rest my case, but never my stance. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Prime Minister, for that fine speech. And to respond to that, I invite the Leader of Opposition. Here.
starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Very good evening to everyone present in the hall today. As the leader of opposition on the motion given today, 3 things I'll be doing here. Firstly, setting up the case for the opposition side. Next, I'll be debating on the issues made by the government side. And lastly, giving one argument to support our team case as a whole. Now, firstly, on the setting up the case for the opposition side here. Firstly, definition of the motion itself. What do you mean by mutual and amicable breakup here? We tell that mutual and amicable breakup here means that the breakup that the person is going through itself is actually both agreed among the both sides and both parties. Meaning that this breakup doesn't actually involve arguments or actually any issues between the breakups that actually causes these breakups in the first place. Next, let's characterize the person that actually going through this breakup here. We tell that firstly, the mental state of mind itself are not actually at like a low level, because we tell that they're actually having a mutual and amicable breakup, meaning that they in the first place agreed to this breakup. Next, and definition of keeping contact here. What do you mean by this? We tell that keeping contact doesn't necessarily means that you're actually staying as a friend towards your ex. But we rather define this actually as you're not actually blocking them in the first place, but rather you're actually knowing and having a relation between both sides, and doesn't necessarily involve you as a friends. Next, the stance coming from outside here. We tell you our opposition side stand for healthy social relationship. Now, stakeholders in this motion is only the person that actually going through the breakups. I'll take you on later. Now, for my rebuttals here. Now, for my rebuttals to the government side. Government side stated that this person that actually is going through this breakup will firstly have deteriorating emotions, and also because they are reminded of the memories and also the relation that they're going through. Why is this not true? Two things here. Firstly, the definition of the motion itself. We're telling you that the person that is actually going through the breakup isn't actually having any issues or arguments towards in the breakup itself, because we tell that it is actually agreed upon breakups between the both parties. Secondly, we tell you that even if the person actually reminded of the memories itself, we tell that the person itself wouldn't actually have deteriorating emotion, which could lead to actually depression, because that the government side stated on their impact, while actually stating no correlation to this. In fact, we tell you that the person itself could actually like do better in their life. For example, when they see that the ex are having a better life than them, they can actually having the motivation to actually do well for themselves. Now, for my argument here, I'll start my argument at the key phrase of perspective here. First analysis here, perspective on your ex-partner. We tell that firstly, when you're actually blocking them on this mutual breakup, we tell that firstly, this breakup typically actually is mutual and also have no problem. By actually blocking them, this could actually makes it that you perceive that in your breakup itself, you actually have a disagreement or actually have fights to the other parties. And second analysis here, perspective from the society or typically your friends here. We tell that this could actually perceive it. Your friends could actually perceive this breakup as actually not mutual in the first place, and also might actually trying to research, analyze what is the real reason, and also can lead to gossiping or lies. Now, what are the impacts to the stakeholders here? We tell that firstly that both of the parties here could actually, if they are actually in a friend group together, this could actually lead to like awkwardness or actually even dissatisfaction among other things. Both of the parties, which in the first place is actually not a problem, but actually you blocking your ex, this could actually rises to be a problem. Next, to the society itself, we tell that the society itself could actually in your friend group there could be gossip or actually bad shaming about this other party, the other person itself, because you just actually like gossip or actually gossip rises that this breakup is not actually mutual. Now, before I must speak here, I'd like to quickly repeat my stance back, which is we stand for a healthy social relationship. With that, I'm proud to oppose.
Thank you, Leader of Opposition, for that fine speech. And to respond to that, I invite the Deputy Prime Minister. Here.
do you do this? Yeah. Yes. Can you help? Shit. Just help me now.
Hold your shirt.
No, you have to do this. And then
Yeah,
do this.
perfect.
Okay, I hope I am visible and audible. I'll start in 3, 2, 1. Good afternoon to the House at large. The motion before us today is as a person who went through a mutual and amicable breakup with their partner, this House would choose to block your ex rather than keep in contact. And my team and I firmly support this motion. First panel, I'll start with some rebuttals. Side opposition says that their stance will lead to a healthy and better relationship, but that is not true, as it can actually lead to a toxic relationship due to the fact that if they keep in contact, then the feelings may grow for each other, which I will prove in my argument. They also said that just because they're mutual and amicable with their and also panel, just because if they're mutual and amicable with their ex, that doesn't mean the unpleasant memories will go away, which I will also speak about in my first argument. Now, what has my team established so far? We have shown you how opposition stance can lead to toxic relationship instead of mutual and amicable ones. I will now elaborate on my team's stance with the following 2 points. 1, unpleasant memories, and 2, how it can lead to toxic relationships. Starting with my first argument. Any relationship, amicable or not, has their highs and lows. Like my first speaker characterized, amicable means you're not best friends with them but not worst enemies either. It means remaining friendly and polite with each other. But when someone keeps in contact with their ex, who panel, you leave because there are more unpleasant memories than happy ones, please note. The bad memories will flood their head when they're keeping in contact. This means that their well-being will lower and they will often feel sad or angry a lot, which is not good for them. Picture this. A girl just breaks up with someone and the relationship was amicable, if not a little toxic. They decide to keep in contact after that, but as the girl texts him more and more, all the personal trauma during the breakup, she remembers all the personal trauma that she faced during the breakup. And then that leads to the girl feeling resentment or hatred towards the ex, or sadness or anger at breaking up. Slowly, this starts affecting her negatively, deteriorating mental health. Moving on to my second argument. Constantly contacting your ex can lead to a toxic relationship instead of an amicable one, as the feelings could appear again, as my first speaker said, leading to excessive sadness. Another factor leading to this is social media. If someone sees their ex's post on Instagram since they are keeping in contact, for example, that could make them feel very jealous, especially since everyone on social media only posts their happiness through materialistic goods. Therefore, this person could feel either envious or impressed and want to get back together again. This leads to toxicity, as the cycle will keep going on and on, making both of their mental health impacted negatively as they keep breaking up and then getting back together again, potentially leading to sadness. Now, to compare both worlds. In our world, we show you how our side can lead to better mental health for someone who has just gone through a breakup. But side opposition's world wants to break an amicable and mutual relationship between people that they had before and worsen mental health. Therefore, panel, we have shown you how we have better short-term and long-term impacts and a better world for people who have recently gone through a breakup. With that, so proud to propose. Thank you. Oh, the mic. Forgot.
And to respond to that, I invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition. Here.
Alright, I hope I'm audible. Is volume okay? Alright. So panels, I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Well, I'm no love expert, but I believe if the societal norm today is to simply block your ex, no matter how you end your relationship, I believe that is simply wrong. Why? I'll elaborate further in my speech. Before that, good evening, I'll be to a panel of educators and worthy opponents on side proposition. Two things I'll be doing here today. Rebuttals regarding issues that surface from side proposition, and further providing you with an argument on behalf of side opposition. So without further, allow me to start with rebuttal. So first, what issues can we see from side proposition here? proposition here. Now, panels, we can see here, they've been telling us, yapping to us about how when you stay in contact with your ex, this is going to have a chance to recall unpleasant memories. Now, panels, one case here. In one case, if it seems that they do not understand the motion here. Understand the motion says, as a person who just went through a mutual and amicable breakup, meaning they just recently broken up. It doesn't mean that even if you block these people, even if you cut contacts, cut ties with these people, it doesn't mean simply doing that means it just instantly removes all of those bad memories. It's not like it's going to instantly reset your memories about that person. It's not like you're going to completely forget about that person. You're still going to remember them at the end of the day. And on case 2 here, we tell you that even if they get bad memories, we tell you, panels, these unpleasant memories, these bad memories, can instead be taken in as lessons for these people to further develop themselves in the future. Like how? For say, imagine you forget your partner's anniversary. We tell you that if you actually look back into that memory, we tell you can improve from that. Okay, you actually learn to never forget again. Okay, we tell you here, panels, you can actually, instead of seeing those things as bad things, we tell you should instead see them in a better light and improve yourself based on that thing. And now, panel, lastly, panel, they told us about toxic relationship. Panels, we tell you that even if this can lead to a toxic relationship, we tell you blocking them will lead to an even more toxic relationship. Understand, panels, that in one, it's not that these ex are just one person by themselves. We tell you they have friends, okay? Imagine, even if they have told their friends, oh, we went through an amicable and mutual breakup. Their friends should be like, oh, they must be on equal terms. But then suddenly, why exactly do they have to block them? This seems like no urgency at all, as they have just went through such mutual and amicable, meaning both sides agrees on it. Now, without further, allow me to start with my argument. So, panels, I would like to continue with the with the quote that I said before. If societal norm today is to simply block your ex, no matter after a mutual breakup or a forced breakup, we tell you that is simply wrong today. Why? Simply because, one, there is no urgency in you actually blocking your ex. We tell you when you block your ex, there is going to be no general benefits at all. In the exception of course, even if your ex does spammings, stalkings or what, we tell you, sure, that is permissible for them to block. But we tell you into this context of a mutual and amicable breakup, we tell you there is no general benefit from blocking the friend. We tell you in this context, there is no urgency in doing that. And 2, we tell you again that by by blocking acts that came from a mutual and amicable breakup, we tell you there's a possible backlash. Panels, we tell you you've both already agreed to this and realized your mistake. So why exactly do you need to block these people? This is the kind of question that's going to come from the party getting blocked. So what exactly are we supposed to do? Panels, we tell you here today that instead of rather blocking them, we tell you there's many other things that you can do to them. Like for say, in my argument, I'll be stating simply about friendships. Meaning you can still stay in contact with them. You can still talk to them. They still have boundaries as friends, and they can still care for each other. Just because you've once been in a relationship and now you've not been in a relationship, it does not mean that you cannot do these things as friends. We tell you, in fact, you should even care more for them because they were once your partner. So what's the urgency for them to actually become friends? You then have someone. You have someone to call friends. You have someone who you can turn to and rely on when you need help. You have someone who will care for you under any circumstances. Before I end my case here, let me give you a bit of comparative here. On side proposition, they'll have a world where they don't even have this friendship value and the benefits simply because they pushed them away, they have cut ties with them, zero contacts with them. Even though it's already possible, knowing that both sides have already agreed, are mutual on their mistakes. Meaning it's already clearly possible, a higher chance of possibility. But then on opposition, we tell you we'll give birth to a much more sociable, better society simply because these people can actually turn these negative things into much positive things, like for say friendships. We tell you this is going to further affect the individuals who were once in this relationship because at the end of the day, they still have people caring for them, they still have people they can turn to. Now, and with that, stand for opposition, stand for a healthier social relationship. I end my case.
Thank you, Devika, for that kind speech. And to respond to that, I invite the government whip. Here.
Am I audible? Okay, I will start in the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1. Panel, a quick roadmap of my speech. I'll start with some rebuttals, then with the reiteration of our case, then reviewing key clashes in this debate, and lastly, ending with some weighing. I'll start with some rebuttals. All right, panel. So, throughout this debate, what we tell you is that being mutual and amicable does not mean that there won't be any unpleasant memories. There's still unpleasant memories when you were still with your ex, right? Then what does the opposition come in and tell you? They tell you that, yes, but there's still unpleasant memories on your side because it's not like the ex will just magically disappear. Here's how we mitigate that harm. We do agree that unpleasant memories exist on our side as well. But it's not that severe. Let me just give you like a simple parallel. If you like dread being on a roller coaster, your fear is actually compared less to being on an actual roller coaster. Similarly, in this case, when you're like dreading talking to your ex, or you're dreading having those unpleasant memories, when you actually go and contact them, that dread increases to a maximum. And that is what you get on side opposition's world, and that's the harm you get on that side. Now on to some reiteration of our case. Panel, the consensus in this debate is that the breakup was mutual and polite. But the contention in this debate is that since it was mutual and polite, should we actually block them? That in fact is one of the key clashes in this debate, alongside which side better helps the person moving from the breakup. I will start with the first clash, which is since the breakup is mutual and polite, should we actually block them? Here's how we win. Just because the relationship is mutual and amicable does not mean that the unpleasant memories have passed. It just means that you're okay now, like you're still healing. But the bitter taste of the memory still scars a person. Alright, you can just say hi to your ex when you meet them on the street sometimes. But that still does not erase the unpleasant memories. Say you got into a fight with them. Just because you are now like polite to each other and say hi whenever you cross each other on a road or at like a shop or grocery shop does not mean that memory is suddenly magically erased. Just because you end on those good terms doesn't mean that those memories go away. Now, so when you contact those ex, these unpleasant memories come back and make you feel uncomfortable. And this is an exclusive harm on the opposition side of the world. We, however, don't have this harm as well. And panel, please do note that this harm is so severe. But the thing is, just to eradicate this harm, all we have to do is simply just block them. The harm that is so severe can easily be mitigated by just, yes?
Like I said before, even if they still have the bad memories, the unpleasant memories, we tell you again that they should instead take that into a better light. We should instead take that as a lesson. Please prepare for that.
I think we've already addressed that in our speech. My second speaker already addressed that. I will continue with my speech. Now moving on to the second clash point, which is which side better helps the person moving on. Here's how we win, okay? When you constantly text your ex, you could get under the facade of catching feelings and getting back together. Okay, let's say one night you're just texting your ex and somehow like you're under the phase that this person's actually nice, I should get back with them again. And the thing is that you completely forget like those harms that you have. That's a harm that you can get, okay? Like you dragging yourself back into such a relationship which you knew was harmful, but because of your contacting, you're getting under this phase that they're actually nice people, they're a nice person. This is the facade that you're going to fall in the opposition side of the world. All right, let's say that you get back together, but again, due to the harms that first led you to break up, you break up again. So leave a big scar, and this will actually leave a big scar. And the bigger harm that will come in this panel is that the relationship, which was once a mutual and polite one, will now turn into a nastier one. Why? Because it's fueled by the emotions that have already been left by the unpleasant memories. So that's the exclusive harm on opposition side of the world. Now I will move on to some weighing in this debate. Panel, what's the problem in this debate and what solution does side opposition come up with and tell us, okay? So in this debate, the problem is simply that should we actually block our ex or should we just contact them? So the solution that side opposition gives us is that we should contact them. But panel, throughout this debate, we have shown you how there are so many exclusive harms on their side, like unpleasant memories. And the thing is that it's not like you magically forget these unpleasant memories, right? They stay with you, even if it's a mutual and amicable relationship. This can actually lead to a toxic relationship, like my first speaker and my second speaker elaborated on. And the thing is, when you are under the facade and you catch feelings for them again, it will actually worsen your relationship, turning a once mutual and polite relationship into a nastier one where there are a nasty or insulting one. So for all those reasons, I'm so proud to propose. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor, for that.
It was horrible.
That was amazing, your mic.
Oh shit.
The opposition way.
Am I audible? Okay. Oh, sorry. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Very good evening. I bid to everyone present in the room today. I, as the opposition whip, will be simply providing rebuttals and clashes towards this side of proposition. Now, moving on to the first rebuttal. Their side gave us an issue on where if you have contact with them, there is a chance to recall all the unpleasant memories. Panels, start of proposition is just telling that by blocking, you can actually forget all the unpleasant memories. Panels, notice that as humans, we would still recall we could still have all the unpleasant memories in our mind. And as the motion also stated that a person who has just went through breakup. So this actually means that the person that actually went through breakup could actually recall all their unpleasant memories back. So I don't see how just by blocking this context can let you forget unpleasant memories. Even if you have contact and have a chance to recall these unpleasant memories, rather than you taking these unpleasant memories at bad once, you could just take this as a lesson. For example, you went late for your meeting to meet with your girlfriend, and she got angry with that. So you could just take a lesson from this and not repeating this mistake again in the future. Next, moving on to the next issue on where they stated on trauma articulator, on where they stated that trauma during relations could happen. That's not actually the motion is actually about panels. The panels, notice that the motion is actually stating that both individuals have actually agreed on this breakup. So this trauma during relations on their side is actually untrue. Even if we take your case, as I've stated earlier, humans will actually recall their memories back, and panels, we could actually avoid these traumas by avoiding conversations that could actually provoke these trauma and unpleasant memories. So how to implement this on where when you in contact with your ex, you could just have a barrier in conversation on where you don't provoke these unpleasant memories and trauma that happened in your past. Next, moving, yes.
How does side opposition mitigate the fact that the severity of unpleasant memories is really hard on their side of the word?
Sorry, can you please repeat up your eye again?
How does side opposition mitigate the fact that the severity of the impact of unpleasant memories is worse on their side of the word?
Panels, they have just stated that how unpleasant memories is best in our side of house. But we are telling you that even if you just make them by blocking it, you couldn't just forget these unpleasant memories. You still have this. You just still have to recall. You still have these unpleasant memories in your mind. So having a conversation on where you don't provoke these unpleasant memories could actually help you to forget, even if you're in contact with your ex. Next, moving on which side gives a better help to get through this situation is obviously our side, because just by blocking your ex after your relation can just give it can just give you awareness on your ex itself, because it's not just you blocking them, but even when you're in contact with them, you can just have relations like just having friends with them. So having like normal relations, normal conversation with them wouldn't be a problem. So I think this debate belongs to our side of house. That's all from me. I'm proud to oppose.
Thank you, Opposition Whip, for that fine speech. That concludes the substantive part of this debate. And to summarize the debate, I invite Opposition Reply Speaker. Here.
I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. In today's reply speech, two things I'll be doing today. Firstly, rebutting on all of the issues brought up by the side of government, and lastly, comparing between the both sides to prove to you why this debate rightfully belongs to the side of opposition here. Now, firstly, rebuttals on the issues made by the government side. Firstly, they talk about how drama during breakup could appear back when you actually don't and keep in contact with them. So, let me break it down to you. This definition of the motion itself. Firstly, mutual and amicable breakup here. We tell that mutual and amicable breakup here doesn't mean that during the breakup itself you have actually unpleasant memories like fighting between the both sides or trauma appear in them. Because we tell that mutual and amicable breakup here, both parties actually agrees with this breakup, and also the factors that actually occurs because that actually makes this breakup occurs is that firstly maybe because of the both of the parties actually don't actually have romantical feelings for each other anymore, and so they decided to break up. It's not really about the breakup where there's fighting and issues in the relationship itself, because we tell you that it's not simply a mutual and amicable breakup here. Second, they talk to us about how love is regrowing. The love itself could regrow and also could lead to sadness and stress. Panels, we've already told you on our second speaker's speech, we tell you that regrowing memories between the both sides is not actually exclusive on our side of opposition. We tell that on the government side also, memories of past relationship could still happen, and blocking them doesn't necessarily means that you wouldn't actually remember them. Also, we like to know that keeping contact with them doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to actually talk to them and actually having a relationship as a friends with them. Without keeping contact, the blocking their ex is actually cutting ties with them, and keeping contact is actually just maintaining the ties between them. You're not necessarily speaking to them, but you're not necessarily cutting them out of their lives. This is what we mean by keeping contact with them, and that's what we're actually trying to push in our case. Now, comparison between the both sides here. Firstly, on the government side here, we tell that by actually them to actually choosing to actually block their ex rather than keeping contact with them. Firstly, we tell that it could lead to actually to harms to their social life itself, because we tell you that when they actually have a good relationship between the ex, why is it necessary for the society to actually push them to actually block their ex rather than actually keeping contact with them? Because we tell you this is actually the world that the government side are pushing here. When we actually have a healthy relationship with our ex and also want to stay as friends, with the government side state that we actually should block them because of just past memories. We tell on our side of the house, this person could actually have a healthy social life. They could actually maintain a healthy relationship and social life between both where they have future partners and also their ex, and which could actually lead to friends or also just strangers. Now, before I end my speech here, we tell you that we ask you panelists to actually support the side that actually take care of this person who just went through a breakup. With that, stand for a healthy social life. With that, I'm proud to propose.
Thank you, Opposition Replies, for that fine speech. And to respond that and to close this grand final, I invite the government reply speaker. You're here.
I'll be starting in the reverse countdown of 3, 2, 1, go. Panel, today's debate has raised a key question. Is it okay to stay in contact with your ex even after a harsh breakup? The orb yaps about worsened relationships, but we have already said that they will move on and have addressed that in our speeches. To start, I'll respond to a few critical points raised by the opposition and then outline our stance. We face two stark choices: a world where we deteriorate mental health and revoke unpleasant memories, or a world where we protect people from revoking unpleasant memories and re-betrayal. The opposition argues that we want a healthy social life with good mental health, but if we truly want a great social life with magnanimity and health, then you should advocate for our side, which creates people who move on stronger and more positive. The opposition also said that you can talk to them, but that ends up in betrayal again and again. Also, how do negative memories become positive memories? They grow worse, as we have already proven. Panel. Also, please do note that side ops whip speaker brings in new information about regulations by talking with your ex. The first speaker has not stated this. Panel. The reality check in today's world is betrayal is something that scars you. The op permanently wants to do that repeatedly. The whole ops case has an interconnected impact, deterioration of mental health and sadness. We believe we have won this debate because we have shown that this fuels unpleasant memories while we eradicate that problem. Let's analyze the clash. First, when it comes to rude relationships, we win because we have proved how the ops side's case leads to rude relationships. Second, when we look at positivity, we win because we emerge out from the pain and move on. Third, when we look at memories, which the ops side could not provide a correct solution for, we win as these traumas are eradicated after blocking your ex. Panel, to conclude, a vote for our side is a vote for a world where people emerge from the pain of a betrayal. With that, I rest my case but never my stance. Thank you.
That concludes the junior grand final. Thank you everyone for this round. And so we will be deliberating, but the results will be announced during the closing ceremony. So feel free to shake hands and socialize, and then we can come back here to watch the senior grand finals.